It was a time when the earth was dry, and the village of Ndomo had been suffering for seasons. The crops were failing, the animals were restless, and our people were desperate. If you'd lived in our village, you'd have heard the same murmurs. The ancestors are angry. The gods have turned away from us. No rain will fall until the queen of the savannah returns to us. And that was the talk among the elders for as long as I could remember. But what they did not know, what none of us could have known, was that a miracle was about to walk among us. Kezzy was a young girl, no more than 16 winters, but she had already grown into a figure of reverence in Ndomo. Her skin was dark as the earth after the rain, her eyes deep and wise, and her smile had the ability to calm even the most troubled heart. Yet, the elders were always troubled by the way she carried herself. There was something in the air when Cassie was near, as if the winds themselves would pause to listen to her. She was the chief's daughter, but not the kind of girl who'd sit idly under the shade of the big baobab tree, gossiping and weaving like the other girls. No, Kezzy had a fire in her. She would run through the tall grasses, wrestle with the young men, and climb trees as if she were born to be among them. It wasn't long before the villagers began calling her the Lioness, a title that seemed to fit her better than anything. But Kezzy did not know the full meaning of this name, at least not yet. One day, as the sun sank low behind the hills, a desperate cry echoed across Indomo. Our village was at its breaking point. The well had run dry, and the rain clouds above had not shed a drop of water in over a year. The elders gathered in secret, and they called upon the spirit of the lioness, an ancient deity said to be the guardian of the savannah. It was said that only the purest of hearts, a child of the lioness herself, could summon the rains and restore balance. But no one knew where to find the spirit. No one had seen the lioness in generations. It was then that the village's eldest elder, Baba Kofi, approached Casey and whispered a name that none of us dared to speak. Niawa, the lioness's spirit of the savannah. She is the one who will bring back the rains, Baba Kofi told Casey. But the only way to call her is to walk into the heart of the savannah, beyond the sacred river, where no human has ever ventured and returned with a blessing. Kezzy did not hesitate. She was the lioness, after all, and the spirits of the land called to her. She set out on her journey with little more than a simple staff and a pouch of herbs from her grandmother. The villagers watched in silence, many afraid to speak, but I could see the hope burning in their hearts as Cassie walked toward the savannah. I remember that night vividly. The moon was full, casting a silver glow over the village, as if watching over Cassie's path. I, too, followed her from a distance. You see, Cassie's journey was not one that could be witnessed by just anyone. There were spirits in those lands, spirits of the lioness, spirits of the ancestors, and spirits of the land that would test her heart, her strength, and her courage. When Kezzy reached the heart of the savannah, where the ground was thick with the scent of dry earth and the wind carried whispers of distant memories, she paused. I, hidden behind a thorn tree, watched in awe as she knelt down by the ancient baobab. I had heard stories of the baobab tree's magical properties, the way it stood so tall and strong, with branches reaching to the heavens as if to touch the gods. And there, in the shadow of the tree, a shape began to emerge. It was a lioness, but not one like any we had ever seen. This lioness was different. Her coat shimmered with golden light, and her eyes glowed like burning embers. She stood tall, her body graceful and powerful. And as she walked toward Cassie, I could feel the earth tremble beneath me. Cassie rose slowly, never breaking eye contact with the lioness. She held her breath as if waiting for something. And then the lioness spoke, not in words, but in a deep, rumbling voice that seemed to come from within the earth itself. You are of my blood, child of the earth and sky. The rains will only come if you prove your worth, if you are truly the lioness queen. The lioness's gaze turned sharp, and Kezzy stepped forward, unafraid. I am ready. I will do whatever is needed to save my people. The spirit gave Casey a challenge. She must climb to the top of the great mountain where the sky meets the earth and retrieve a single feather from the golden eagle that nested there. The journey would be treacherous. Along the way, Kezi would face wild beasts, dark spirits, and trials that would break the spirit of the weak. But I knew deep in my heart that Kezi was no ordinary girl. She was destined for greatness. She faced many trials, battling a wild cheetah, outwitting a vengeful serpent, and even taming a fire spirit that tried to engulf her. Each trial tested her strength, but Casey's spirit never wavered. She was unyielding, like the lioness herself. When she finally reached the eagle's nest, perched on the highest peak, Casey met the great bird whose eyes shone with ancient wisdom. The eagle recognized her strength and handed her the golden feather, a symbol of her rightful claim to the reins. With the feather in hand, Cassie returned to the village. The elders greeted her as if she were already a queen. That night, as she stood by the village well, she held the feather high above her head, and the earth seemed to hum with life. The winds shifted, the skies darkened, and with a mighty roar of thunder, the rains began to fall. The people of Ndomo danced under the downpour, their voices lifted in praise, for Kessie had not only brought the rains, but had proven herself to be the true lioness queen. As for Kessie, she'd never sought power or glory. She lived with us, a humble queen of the land, and the rain always returned when it was needed. The lioness spirit, ever watchful, left us in peace. Kessie became a legend, not just for her bravery, but for the quiet wisdom she carried. She taught us all that leadership is not about titles or pride, but about courage, humility, and love for the people you serve. As I tell you this, I remember the fierce joy in the village when the rains returned. And whenever I see a lioness roaming the savannah, I know it is Kessie's spirit, ever protecting the land.